Number 7, stay informed. Regularly follow reputable financial news sources like, I'm going to leave these out,
Yeah.
and stay updated on market trends and global economic shifts. My favorite economic source to follow is Howard Marks. It's the Memo. I think it's a way better source than the other stuff listed on this piece of paper. My thought is follow what the big guys are following. Pay attention to some of the biggest, brightest investors on earth and ask the question, what are the news they're paying attention to? And how do I get access to that news and pay attention to it as well? Now, the truth is, the reason they're paying attention to certain news is it takes a certain level of understanding or knowledge or the ability to sift through stuff and decode what it means. Some of these newsletters I get, when I first got them, I had trouble reading them because I was like, what the hell does this mean? What is that? Like, there was stuff I had to go Google and search just to figure out what the heck they're talking about in these newsletters. But once I figured it out and once I started understanding the process, I went, this is easy. I can speak the language now. So there's a little bit of a language barrier or a knowledge barrier to understand what they're talking about. But this is the stuff that Warren Buffett's reading. This is the stuff that the top financial traders are reading. This is the stuff that the big banks are paying attention to. And so if they're paying attention to it, if it's good enough for them, I say it's good enough for us. And instead of that, most people pay attention to, let's just say, the news. And I have trouble trusting what is on general television about this type of information, only because we have a friend who kind of showed us behind the curtain one time. I remember we were hanging out with her, staying at her house, and when we walked in, she had this giant blow-up thing of her on the cover of a very famous magazine, and it said, famous for being famous. I was like, what does that mean? She's like, it's just something it was a project I was working on a long time ago. She was a journalist and understand the media and did all kinds of amazing articles and amazing work.
She's great.
But she went off on a tangent one time for fun, just to kind of prove a point. And she goes, here, let me show you my reel. And she turned on this video, and it was her as an expert on every news channel talking about every topic you could imagine. A financial expert, a relationship expert, a health expert, a business expert, an investment expert, like every expert you could imagine on any topic was her, dressed differently, on every news channel, the biggest shows, national, global channels, representing an expert status on all these topics. And I looked at her, I'm like, shit, you must know a lot. And she started laughing. She goes, no, that's not how it happened. I said, how did it happen? She says, at the time I was living in New York City. I was a journalist. I had friends on all these networks. And I said, hey, if anyone ever doesn't show up, if anyone cancels last minute and you need someone to fill in real quick, text me, I'll be there. And I said, what? She goes, yeah, I was kind of a stand-in. And I said, how in the world does that work? And she's like, well, let's say someone's booked for the 6 a.m. Financial network show where they're talking about the investments of the week. They don't show up because something happens. They have to go to the hospital. They text me, and I'll be there in 15, 20 minutes, ready to go. And they're going to ask me, what are the stock tips of the day? And I say, yeah, but if you're replacing an expert, how do you know what the stock tips of the day are? She's like, I don't know. I Googled it on the way to the station. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. They allow this on television? They allowed you to just Google some random results, show up, and with certainty tell people stock picks of the week are certainly this, and this, and here's why. And then people are making financial decisions for their family based on that? Holy hell. Literally, I heard that and was like,
We both were.
I'm out. I will never listen to that shit again. Now, I'm sure someone's going to cancel me on the news for saying that.
Yeah, do you think we're going to get on the news, though?
No, I hope not. But it's just the thought of, if they're willing to have that low of a standard of information. I'm not bashing my friend. My friend is brilliant. She's really smart.
You're not bashing anyone. It's about being mindful of the source.
She's not an expert on every topic. She'll tell me that. She told me that when she showed me the reel. But if news is willing to fill spots by just throwing someone in at the last second, regardless of if they know what they're talking about or not, I understand they needed to fill a spot. I understand it was a great source, blah, 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 blah. But people are basing their financial or livelihood decisions on this. Don't do that. Get better sources of information. And so if you need better sources, just email us and we'll send you some of our favorites. It doesn't mean they're the best. They're just some of our favorites and things you can go take a peek at. But people who really, really are trustworthy in these categories.